Alright, y'all. So it's time for another one. How do I plan to build my RX-7 or rotary car or any car or live my life? We're going to start with what I think is the most critical part is find your end goal and then work backwards. What do I mean by that? Okay, so if you, for instance, wanted to go for a 500 horsepower twin rotor, so 13V setup, you want to use it for track usage, you want to use it for time attack, something like that, right? You can't go and put a fuel system in. We can, but it's going to cost you again. But you shouldn't be putting a fuel system in, or a turbo in, or an exhaust in that burns through your short-term budget, because that's what works for you, for 250 to 300 horsepower. It's just not financially smart. This is a much easier thing to do, a cry once, buy once. Ask me how I know. How many different turbo setups have I gone through? How many different fabricators, engine builders, so on and so forth have I gone through? Fuel systems, even. Because every time I was delayed by one person, I would take that as a, well, time to restructure. And that's what I would do, is I would go through and change what I needed to do for the car to make it work. So, my thing to advise to you guys is buy once, cry once, and I've always put it on my website, and I'm sure you guys got it. Do it right, do it once. So that comes down to the very simple fact of if you see the end goal of your usage of a vehicle, build to that. That's the most critical part. So I'm trying to figure out a better way to grab this thing. I think I'm going to get a little tripod gimbal thing because it's cupping like this is a little odd. But yeah. So I think that will be our next topic for discussion. When it comes to business planning or any sort of automotive planning, you really want to have a full sight of where the goals are going to land. You know, the same guy doesn't want to go drag race or rip in the mountain roads or drive cross country. The car is completely different. So we're trying to tailor a car to you, and in doing so, your environmental usage. So like where you are at in the world, geography wise. So if you're in the mountains of Utah, or if you're in the deserts, or wherever you're at, you know, there's different setups the vehicle might undertake. So if I need to plan for barometric compensation to keep, not boost the same, but keep power the same, that's kind of a different strategy, right? You know, we have to overbuild things because when you do go down to elevation, I have to make sure that we have enough overhead to pull out boost control. There's just a bunch of different small oddities that come into play. So what I want you guys to think about is when you're planning your builds, if you need to talk to me, if you need to talk to someone else, make sure you see what your overall goals are. Are you going to be tracking the car? Is it a daily driver? Are you trying to get a balance of something dual purpose? This is a very critical aspect. Because when I go to plan with you, I want to make sure that we balance this out. You know, someone might sell you, and I'm really trying hard not to do this, but someone might sell you some like balancing package. From my experience, that shit's been garbage. I've had 3 sets of rotors go down from that, so ask me how I know. Huh? Yeah, great. So, he might sell you some package, or some like massive port, or some whatever people love doing these days. And it's all trend and bullshit. Oh my god, and the Apex Seal stuff. Guys, I can list off like 5 apex seals, I would not even get close to touch my engine. There's about 4 or 5 good ones. There's about 7 or 8 bad ones I can think of. So, just just make sure that you talk to someone about your actual usage, because maybe you don't want to have to run 2.5 ounces of premix per gallon of gasoline and more for E85 to not have chatter on your irons and housings, because somehow it gets both, which is fantastic, right? The things the things that I wish I could tell you on an open plane and an open conversation without being immediately crucified for bringing up all the negativity bullshit is just, it's wild. So a lot of you are going to look at this and say, why are you holding back? And there's going to be another chunk that are like, you better not mention my name. And just realize that I understand the very broad spectrum of the industry. I had this whole thing, I actually mentioned it to one of my clients last night. I'll read it off because I thought it was really well written. Where are we? Here we go. I said, I wish to be a resource, and whoever you wish to include, including this topic I'm talking about, me opening up the floodgates for all the information. The main thing I brought up was that it's a tough predicament where I want to help people out, but I don't want to burn others down in the process. A guide to others without being smothering, right? So like this stuff, this is a platform that you choose to watch. So it's not smothering you, it's not exploding all over your Facebook page, whatever that is, social media. And I brought up a whole point about how, I can't even read that part out because that's just going to be exactly what I don't want. Our industry needs a new awakening at some point, and it's frustrating when I see builders, machinists, calibrators, they go to something so blindly. That's the gist of what I wrote. I'm finding out what may be the saving grace for these cars, but I'm having a hard time not wanting to share it openly because I also need to have growth for the business. So it's kind of a tough predicament there, and that's what he and I talked with. And it was just, he's like, yeah, let's keep it more secretive, and I think he's right. At some point, I want to keep building and opening things up for everyone, and making it very informative, easy access. But in the time being, I'm looking, I'm like, not exactly financially stable, and there's not a ton of foresight beyond a big client backlog or whatever that is, so that's, I understand both him wanting to protect me, a lot of others are just saying like, keep to yourself. I think you understand everything you need to now. Keep building at the rate you're building, because that's really the defining characteristic, is the pace in which you're able to acquire skill sets or learn or teach yourself, whatever that is. So anyways, coming back to the root of the video is plan and build for your final goals, and then take a step back, and then build that part in phases. So if you need to make a setup on the top end that handles 550 horsepower, whatever, but you only wanted to have 300 something, that's fine. Build the 500 horsepower setup now while the economy is still not entirely in the shit, which it is. And you will recover better than if you were to do the setup twice. Okay, so it makes way more financial sense to do this all in the moment and do it all properly the first time when you have a full build oversight. Because if you're going to go change the setup and what you actually want throughout the process, every time you're buying, selling, buying, selling, buying, selling, and you get this situation, which I'm in all the time, and I'm trying to make sure you guys understand that. So avoid that, and we'll go through. We'll do kind of more of these talking head things for a little while I have the car at fabrication. But I think that this is the right planning moving forward for a lot of people. I don't want to expose too much or make things uncomfortable for too many people just yet. So when I have more than just my personal experiences and more than just a lot of reports coming in from others, I want things to be very, very clear and informative, and try to help those that have wronged others first. If they don't want to take that help and they don't want to improve their own skills and their own efforts, then I can run them down. Then I can burn bridges. But I'm going to give people the benefit of the doubt now, and I'm not going to try to help everyone because I'm tired of that. And if they choose to not improve, they're going to get a few strikes on that, and then you're done. That's it for this video, guys. Catch the next one. Cheers.